What's up, everybody? Welcome to Hammerdown Motorsports. If you guys are new to the channel, my name is Steve Fast, and behind me we have our 2019 Ram Rebel. Now, we've gone a long ways with this truck already, doing the lift kit, the 35-inch tires, and the 20-inch wheels. There's been a whole lot of stuff going on with this thing, and now it's time to take it to the next level, because if you guys thought that the 2.0 build of this truck was over, well, we have some more stuff for you. So first thing, I want to say a big thanks to Shifts and Grins for helping me out with this next product that we're going to be installing on the truck. It is something that allows you to put TRX rear tow hooks on your truck. Now, ever since I ever saw the first TRX and I saw that they did have the tow hooks on the back, I was like, there's got to be a way to adapt this to the Rebel, and Shifts and Grins has made that possible. So we're going to be unboxing their product today, showing you guys exactly what you get, what the quality is like, because these things are an absolute beast. So let's get into it. Let's see what we got in the box, and let's get it put on the truck. All right, so we have our box here, and if you guys notice, we do have a few things in the bed of the truck. We had a barbecue and everything for my kids' birthdays, so yeah, that stuff is still back there. Here we have our brackets, and let's take a look at these things. I'm not kidding. These things, they definitely have some weight to them. I'm not exaggerating whatsoever. Check that out. We have laser cut the Shifts and Grins logo right there on the side. I did opt for mine to be not powder coated because I want to do my own coating on them. I think I might do a Pour 15. I was thinking maybe doing a Raptor liner, not entirely sure just yet, but I didn't want to scratch up a powder coating, maybe doing a mock-up or whatever, because there is one little thing with my truck that is not necessarily researched at this point or recommended at this point, is the step. If you do have the step, we're not 100% sure yet if it's going to work with that. So that being said, I just wanted to be able to have them kind of in a raw form, just so we can kind of play with that. If we have to change anything at all, then we don't have to worry about recoating or anything like that. So let's have a closer look here. You can see these TIG welds are absolutely beautiful on this thing. It's almost a shame to have to paint over them, but we're gonna have a quick look at these here just so you guys can see it in its raw form, because everything here is definitely, I would say, way overbuilt for what we're gonna have to do with this. Let's just give this thing a tap. You can kind of hear how solid that thing is. It's got that beautiful ring to it. You see the construction here is definitely heavy, heavy duty. And what this actually essentially does, it goes onto the side of where the hitch is and then bolts onto the factory mounting. So you don't have to drill or any of that kind of stuff. And then right here is where our tow hook is actually gonna bolt on. And it's a factory Mopar TRX hook that's gonna bolt to here. So we have a very nice factory look with a definitely overbuilt, high quality bracket to put it on. So let's see what else we got here in the box. Definitely some good packing. We got the packing peanuts and everything like that. Make sure everything arrives nice and safe. We do have some nicely packaged hardware right here. Trying to get all the packing peanuts off. Put that over here. Keep digging down. Trying to do this one-handed, honestly, is a little tough because of how much these things actually do weigh. So try not to get all the packing peanuts on the floor. All right. So here we go. We have our second bracket. And when we're not pulling Toyotas out with these, we're definitely going to have a little bit of extra traction in the back with that added weight, because these things, like I said, these things are heavy, heavy duty. So I think we got everything out of the box. Got a couple of packing peanuts to pick up, but no big deal. We do have everything here now, ready to go on the truck. I'm just gonna put it up on the lift so we can kind of get an idea how everything is. Then we're gonna mock it up, and then I'm gonna be able to paint these one final go, just to make sure we have everything where we want it to be. Then we can just paint it one time and we'll be all set and have our rear tow hooks installed. All right, so at first glance here, I just opened up the hardware bag. We do have 6 bolts and 2 big washers. Haven't exactly figured those out just yet, but we will get to that. And then this is our bracket, of course. And you can see I did take down our Colight reverse lights for the time being, just because of where I had them mounted. It looks like the bracket and everything might interfere with this a little bit, but that's not really a big deal, because I could take this and I can move it down here, or I can even have it at an angle here. I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do with that just yet, but that's not a big deal. That can be moved, and then it's gonna give us enough room so we can get our tow hooks installed. Now over here, you can see we do have our mounting hardware right here for our hitch. Now that's what I believe we're gonna have to remove first. There's 1, 2, 3, and then there's one that goes straight up over here. And that looks like where everything was gonna mount up onto our new bracket. So all very, very nice and clean. We can do everything with the factory holes, which is always the way I like to do things. And yeah, let's get these removed and see how everything fits. So while we're waiting for the air compressor to charge up, it's a 21mm socket. To remove the hardware up there, we're gonna do one side at a time. Let's make sure we have everything fitting the way we want it to. Let's take a couple of seconds just to kind of get to know each other. Today, we are out in the yard. It's a beautiful sunny day in Pennsylvania. We do have our yeeter beater old piece of junk F-150 that just never seems to die, so it just keeps sticking around. We jump it off of that jump over there, which is kind of eroded, but we're probably gonna build that up again and have a little bit more fun, because we do more than just DIY stuff around here. We try to have a little bit of fun with some old beater trucks and just kind of do whatever country stuff. We do country stuff around here because, well, that's just who I am. And we like to do stuff like that. We also have the race trailer. I'd like to get out to the racetrack again because we do have the Camaro, which I do a little bit of drag racing with. And well, basically what I like to do around here, have a few bonfires, work on cars, hang out with the boys, all that kind of stuff. And just, I don't know, pretty much whatever puts a smile on the face. Usually it ends up having an engine, and sometimes my wife is shaking her head because that's, well, just who I am. We do have a burn pile over there, so I'm very excited to light that for the first time. It does kind of look like garbage right now because of weeds growing up around it, but what I'm going to be doing is getting some big rocks and kind of making a little backyard area here. So then eventually up behind the shop, I'm going to have a deck that's going to come from the upper level. If you guys have been paying attention with the whole shop build, we do have the mezzanine up there. I'm going to have a door that goes kind of up top there, out onto a deck, and then I can have maybe something down below too. I'm not too sure exactly, but I like to have this all nicely cleaned up and looking nice, kind of like a little backyard area for the shop. And for those of you who don't know, I do love to barbecue. I've kind of been perfecting a few things that I've learned over the years, and we're probably gonna have a separate channel for that. We're gonna be doing cooking and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of more so in the picture for when I get that back area finished, but maybe in the meantime, we might throw a video up here and there, just kind of see how it does, because, well, who doesn't like to eat good barbecue? I know it's probably one of my favorite things. All right, so our air compressor is nicely charged up. We've got our 21mm on the impact. Let's get these mounting bolts removed and let's mock up our brand new brackets. All right, so we got our passenger side over here just nicely mocked up, and I just got the bolts kind of hand tight. I haven't put the hook on just yet, but you can kind of just see how everything fits in here. Got nice clearance for your exhaust. No interference here with our spare tire whatsoever. And we do have actually a lot of clearance here. I don't know if you can fit a bigger spare under here or not. I know this spare would not replace one of these. So yeah, something for another day. But either way, we do have plenty of clearance here. Everything fits really nicely. And if we kind of just look at the view here, without that tow hook on, you can't see that bracket at all. And if we go over to the side, you can see how everything mounts up to our factory hardware. I still got to tighten these bolts up, but we're going to paint this thing. And that was kind of why I got this in raw form. We do have these lights here, and I do have more wire up in there. I just got to cut a zip tie. But I think once I have my hook in place, I could probably just drill a hole right there and kind of have this sitting like that instead of having to use what we were using, which is these right here, which are a KC roll bar light mount, which fit really nicely on the hitch tube. But I think now that we have this in place, we'll probably be better off just using this as our mounting point, because it's still going to have it nicely up out of the way. It's actually still higher than the spare tire, so we shouldn't hit anything and still give us all the light that we need. All right, so I have my hook installed. You can see it's a factory TRX hook. I only have 2 of the bolts in right now. I was trying to get it so I had both the bolts going upwards and the nut on top, but there is a little bit of a bracket right here, and I was unable to get the bolt down from the top with it all installed. So I'm gonna try to see if I can put this together with all the bolts going straight up, and if I can get the bracket to go in without interfering with that, we're good to go. If not, we're just gonna have to flip that bolt around and then have the nut on the bottom side. But either way, I think that should work out fine for us. And then this here, we're gonna have our light. I see this little indentation kind of on the hook right there, and it's gonna give us just enough room, put a little hole right there, and then it's gonna get a little more slack out of our wire, and we should be able to mount this light here really nicely, and it's gonna sit just like that, pretty much in the same spot that it was before, but just a little bit further down. And it's gonna give us lots of clearance for our light, and it's gonna look really, really nice with our brand new tow hook in the rear. So for those of you who are wondering what the part number is, it is right there. That is our Mopar factory TRX tow hook. Now what we're gonna do is go over to the driver's side. I'm going to actually remove the hardware that holds on the step, which is the same hardware on the other side. And hopefully we have enough length in our bolt that we're able to actually still use the step by adding the thickness of our new bracket, because we should have enough room from what I can sort of tell. It might just stick out just slightly, but I guess we're not gonna know until we try. All right, so just to answer our question from before, whether we can get all of these bolts going straight up, you can. I just like the look of this so much better than having just the threaded part coming down. So that's just me, but it does definitely fit. So we're all good to go as far as that goes. Now we can move on to the driver's side. All right, so I gotta tell you, I was a little nervous about this side just because I have the step, and on the website it did say that it's not made to work with the step. So this is kind of an R&D thing, and I really do use this step a lot. So I was gonna try absolutely everything in my power to make sure that this would work. And luckily enough, we did have some success. So I'm able to get the bracket in, and I got the step on. There is just one little thing. Let's pull the step down here. Up here, there's this little kind of hanger. I think that's just for ease of installation. You kind of hook that in and then you can line up the bolts and whatever. It's just part of the frame. It's not part of the mechanism or anything like that. So what you have is these two bolts and this bolt, because there's a threaded part on the other side of the bracket now, where there actually isn't a hole on our Shifts and Grins bracket because it was made for the step. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna mark this, and then once I have everything exactly where I want, I'll probably make the hole a little bit bigger so we have some adjustment there. But I'm gonna drill that hole out, and then I'm able to use our third bolt just so it's able to use all the capacity that it was made for. I'm not gonna need this anymore because, well, obviously we're sticking out a little bit further and it doesn't go in that groove. But the only other thing I really ran into is a little clearance issue. There is a little bit of contact right here, and see when we put it back in if we can feel that. Yeah, it's kind of just right at that point. You can kind of hear it. And if we put it halfway, you might even be able to see kind of just that little rub mark where that arm touches. It's right about there. You can see where it kind of stops. If I give it a little bit pull, it goes all the way. So it's very slight. All right, so we have everything mocked up. Everything's ready to go. I have all the holes that I need to drill marked out. So all we have to do now is take this all apart again and drill the holes, and then I'm able to do our coating on it. I'm probably just gonna hit it with some acid etch primer, really kind of give that a good coating since we do go on the salt water and the beach and all that kind of stuff with it. And then I'm gonna hit it with some Pour 15 and see how that holds up. If it's not gonna hold up over time, I can always take it apart again and do it with some Raptor liner or something like that. But I think that's gonna work for the time being. Maybe I'll break down and get them powder coated eventually, but like I said, I wanted to make sure I can make modifications and not have to ruin powder coating when I first got them. So that's kind of why I ordered them the way I did. And if you have a step, you might want to do the same because of the holes you have to drill, or if you want to add lights or any of that kind of stuff. So now I'm going to take all this apart, get those holes drilled, get it painted, get a couple, probably 3 coats on this, make sure it's nice and cured before I put it back together. So we're going to pick this up again tomorrow. All right, so we do have our step kind of hanging here. I've got just the bolts loosely in place, and we do have our bracket up in here as well. It actually went a little easier than I thought it might, but I still was running into a little issue, and that is right here. This is just kind of this little edge is gonna rub against the fender when it opens and closes. So it's not like a huge amount of contact, it just barely brushes, but enough to knock the paint off. So we don't wanna have that happen. So best thing to do is when you have your step out, you can see this is kind of just like a ridge right here. If you smooth that out, we should be okay, because it's really not a whole lot of stuff that we need to take off to clearance that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna see if I can do it like this. If not, I'm gonna pull it all the way out. But I think I should be able to sneak my die grinder in here. And then I have one of these, which is just basically a sanding disc, and it should be able to make a nice edge on there. Then we're gonna apply some paint just so that doesn't rust. And that should give us the clearance that we need for our fender just to make everything work. That's just kind of what you run into being the first one to install these brackets for the rear tow hooks with the step, which is not supposed to be possible, but we're making it happen because I really like that step. So let's get this ground down. Hopefully that gives us enough clearance, get a little paint on there, and we can start buttoning this thing up. All right, everybody, we have everything nicely bolted up and nice and tight up in here. I had to play a little bit with fitment, obviously, with our step. I got that trimmed off. You kind of got to go that little edge I showed you and then a little along the side. You'll see exactly kind of where the contact area is, but the arm on this is aluminum, so it shaves down really, really easily. Not a big deal whatsoever. I hit it with some black paint and you can't even really tell. So now that is all figured out, everything is nice and tight, and we have our awesome new TRX tow hooks here, the factory tow hook bolted onto the Rebel, and these are one solid unit with the Shifts and Grins bracket. I'm super happy with the way everything turned out. You can see kind of the profile here on how this sticks out. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is going to protect your exhaust tips 100%, but definitely is going to give you a little bit more added protection than what you had before, just because depending on what would come up on your approach angle or anything like that. Before, I mean, obviously this could hit first, and now this is going to be here, so it's a lot easier to hit a tow hook than a fancy exhaust tip that needs to be welded back on. And now we have two places to hook up our Toyota buddies in case, you know, they're in the parking lot and their truck doesn't start and you got to come out there and give them a yank or whatever, give it a whole pull start if it's got a manual, all that kind of good fun stuff. But either way, I'm very happy with the results. Let's get this truck on the ground and see what it looks like from regular ride height level. So here it is on the ground. This is kind of just your walk around perspective. You see those tow hooks are nice and out there, so you don't have to reach in underneath. Everything is really nice and accessible, but they don't stick out too far. If you actually look in the rear camera, you don't even see them, but they're definitely there. You can hook on whatever you need nice and easily. You don't have to be digging underneath the truck if it's all muddy and all that kind of thing. So drop in the comments, what do you guys think of the new look of the Rebel R with its new TRX tow hooks? I think it looks absolutely awesome. So there it is, everybody. The Rebel R is coming along, the 2.0 Rebel build. We have the new lift kit. We have our TRX rear hooks now, and we have some other things coming. So definitely stay tuned for those. And I couldn't even possibly start to list all the things that we've done to this truck already. But it has been an absolutely awesome journey, and I'm totally loving every minute of being able to transform this truck into what you see behind you right now. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And as always, keep that hammer down.